us how you came across Web3 and NFTs, and how did you first become interested in NFTs and what set it off?
Yeah, I think I came into the crypto space through Bitcoin. Loved the narrative of Bitcoin. Always thought it was super interesting. It looks like Jitsi got rugged. um, and so after just being interested in Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin and doing the whole Bitcoin thing, NFTs come along. I believe 2021 was sort of the real sort of year for NFTs. I think that's where most people came in, and so all my professional career has been as an artist, and so I was suddenly like, wow, I can put art and blockchain together in one thing. This is freaking amazing. I'm sold. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. Jitsi, are you good?
Yeah. What about you, Jitsi?
Uh-oh, Jitsi's having tech trouble.
Oh, hear me? Is it coming through?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, keep going. I'm here.
No, tell us your bio.
Yeah, tell us about yourself.
Your intro.
Oh, really? I feel like okay. So none of that came through, huh?
No, it did. It did. First, you said your role at Magic Machine. Now, just tell us about your background.
Oh, my background. I mean, strictly from video games for the most part. I used to teach esports programs at collegiate level and play professionally. That's where a lot of my background comes from. Along which I like to say that I'm like a STEAM kid essentially. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing too special or out of there.
All right. It is actually quite interesting how the two of you is starting this in 2021 when it is actually during the situation of pandemic, right? And also as we're about to start going on to the main topic, can you tell us more about Forgotten Realms, Wizards Cult, and your projects? What are exactly your areas of expertise?
Yeah. So, Forgotten Runes, we call it a decentralized world building project. And so I say the word world building, and a lot of people may not know exactly what that is. It's a media it's a term that's used across media, mostly in film and any medium that's involved in storytelling. It is just the process by which fictional worlds are created. Um, so, what does decentralizing that process mean? Well, the past, I guess, 100 years of like media franchises, we've seen worlds like the Star Wars galaxy or Middle Earth or Hogwarts, and all of these were mostly created by a singular creative genius just sitting at the top. Um, and eventually, these worlds get bought by large corporations and turned into franchises. All the monetization of these franchises generally goes straight to the top. It's a one-way street from fan to franchise owner. And so we're saying, what if you decentralize that entire process? What if you make that a two-way street? How would you do that? What we did was we created a huge ecosystem of characters as NFTs. We distributed them all as tokens, and we said to the holders of those tokens, come build this world with us. Create the backstory and the lore and the artwork and the aesthetics of the characters because you literally own them. You own them financially, legally, emotionally, creatively, in every way possible. This would be like Marvel telling their fans that they can own Spider-Man or Thor, the Incredible Hulk. And but we're telling our community, monetize them in any way you want as you're developing them. And as you're doing that, we, as the project founders, will leverage our decades plus industry experience to put your characters and all the lore that you create in a professional comic book, in a TV show, in a whole slew of video games, in toys, on apparel, whatever a typical franchise empire has your characters that you own will show up in that. And so it's one thing for me to just talk about it. It's a totally other thing to see if it's actually happening. And yes, it is actually happening. Our community, or as our cult, as we like to call it, has already created over 4,000 entries into our book of lore. That is the hub where all of this creative capital is kept. And we've taken that lore and all that creative content and we've literally put it into a physical comic book series. We've already printed the first issue. We've put it in an animated trailer. The trailer is pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. We're putting that content in the TV show scripts, which we are developing. We're putting that content across all of our creative ecosystem. And that's the basic idea. Did I miss anything, Jitsi?
No, I mean, you got a lot of all of it. I mean, one thing I think is underpinning everything too, which like we talk about, Elf talks about these expressions and things that we're doing within Magic Machine, where how we're trying to like expand the IP, right? And like there's this underpinning value of the community that's there day in, day out too, which because like we talk about these great instances that we're trying to make or create, and it takes a lot of time to do these things, right? And I think the best way to have this be accomplished from within our team or also within the community is have a strong community showing up and like putting in that effort, whatever it is within creative like world building. And we see that time and time again within our community, which I think is super strong and really relevant and needed to be able to get where we want to go. So it's like just this really beautiful combination of builders, creatives, and community members that are pushing along this like general goal that everyone thinks that's like obtainable within, hopefully the next 5 or 10 years.
Yep.
All right, that was quite detailed and also a very great introduction of Forgotten Prince for us, right? Like getting to know further about what kind of projects you guys are working on. As we're also talking about how there are also diverse characters of NFTs in Forgotten Runs, right? Even supported with narrative or story for each of it. So, what are their actual differences? Like, do they have specific different aims for each characters?
You're talking about the different character collections within our ecosystem. Is that right? Did I hear the question right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we've got a couple different character sets within our ecosystem. Premier among those are the wizards, of course, the namesake of the project. There are a little under 10,000 wizards. They are the elite token. They represent the core ethos of the project, which is summed up in the phrase, put thy rune on the door. This just means to put your mark on the world so that you are not forgotten. And in that, like Jitsi said, that is indeed what our community is doing. They put their mark on the world. They create through art, through poetry, through writing, through music every day. It's really quite beautiful. So that's the Wizards collection. Underneath that, I would say is the Warriors collection, where Wizards represent magic, Warriors represent might. It is a collection of, I think, 1,400 tokens. 14,000, sorry. Is it
Yeah.
16?
I think it's 16, I think.
Okay, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Look at me. I don't even know the cap on the collection. But yeah, they're a big, beautiful collection. They're very diverse. There's more traits in that collection. What I like about the Warriors is they sort of represent a really nice entry point for people looking to get in into our community. The floor price of the Warriors is much, much lower than the Wizards. So they're a really great, like, just sort of low entry point for anyone who wants to come in. They pretty much have all the same utility as the Wizards. It's just that Wizards get prioritized when it comes to airdrops and other utilities. For example, we currently just finished a massive undertaking where we turned every single wizard character into a 3D model that will be usable as a game asset in any 3D open world 3D meta. The Warriors don't have those just yet, but they will. So that's the Warriors. We also have a fun collection of around 800 ponies. These are just fun little ponies that our community has done so many things with. We have pony races. The wizards can ride them. They have really fun, cute names. The ponies were given away for free on Christmas of 2021. We have a Souls collection. Speaking of utility for the wizards, the wizards are able to go through a burn mechanism that we built that will result in what we call a forgotten soul. So that will literally transmute your wizard into this undead creature. There's a whole collection of those. We have 7 legendary beasts, only 7, that were auctioned off last summer, I believe. And then those beasts each resulted in a whole slew of spawn that were randomly airdropped to our community. And I think that's basically the character tokens in our community.
That's everything, I'm pretty sure. It's funny to hear them all listed out and like how complex it might be, but really it's just like building out the ecosystem that's in this fantasy world, and it just makes so much sense because each one hits a particular thing. And I think that will continue to happen as we grow everything out, right? But like when you sit down and say it all, it feels like a lot, right? Which I guess any epic fantasy world will have that.
Yeah, if you're building a world, you need a lot of characters to live in it, and it brings up an interesting question that I think every single NFT project is grappling with at the moment, which is, it's like you wanna maintain really tight tokenomics. You don't want to overinflate your supply because a lot of people see these as speculative investments. So you have to keep in mind the economics of it all, but you also want to reach the widest audience possible. And so you can't just mint 1 million tokens to bring 1 million people into your ecosystem. So it's a very tricky balance. So our solution has just been like partitioning off different character sets. To me, this does not harm the floor price of the core set, which is the wizards. It is the elite aspirational core of our entire ecosystem. But if you want to enter, you have all these other tokens you can enter with.
And it feels like, whatever it happens within our ecosystem, and maybe we're ranting at this point about this particular topic, but I think it's important, is like, it wasn't just mint to mint, it was mint with purpose, right? Or like airdrop with purpose, which I think is so much more meaningful than just like trying to drop another collection because you can do it, right? Like there's a big difference there. And I think we do a really good job of making sure that when tokens are introduced to the ecosystem, it's with thought, with purpose, right?
Yep, for sure. Yep.
All right, then from what has been explained from the ecosystem, then what kind of particular advantages and also utilities do each collections holders get out of it?
Yeah, yeah. So the wizards pretty much get everything we do. Like I said, they're prioritized in airdrops. They're the first to access the 3D models. Any kind of like mini game or extra mechanic we build, the wizards always have access to that. Plus, like just look at our comic book series. The literal title of the comic book is Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult. A ton of our community's wizards appear in the comic. It's just they are the mimetic image that spreads the most far and wide. But yeah, trailing off of that, the souls get equal amount of attention as the wizards, except they're just like a slightly more elite collection because there's only like 800 of them. But we considered the souls just like a version of the wizards. Again, the warriors are just entry point. They still have access to the book of lore. They will get 3D models, but they're much more affordable. The ponies, our community has built a ton of fun mini games around those. So if you want to play those mini games, you need a pony to ride. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, a lot of the utility too, or advantages within the ecosystem are like they'll kind of play themselves out, in my opinion. Like people will find uses when they need them to. But like one of the things that has always like stayed true for me within digital communities, and with this project is no exception, is that like your identity and how you represent yourself within like a digital interface is really important, right? Like, and this is why PFP profile projects have done really well. But that's enough utility for me a lot of the time, and like that's like a cop out. But at the same time, like I identify with the wizards I have, and I want people to see those as well. Like that's enough for me. Like socializing through beautiful art is a fantastic way to start, right? And I feel like that was always what it was with the storytelling attached to what Forgotten Runes does really well. So I mean, I could rant about this stuff for hours. I just love it so much, but that's enough for me.
Yeah, Jitsy's current PFP is actually, I guess, like a derivative artwork of a kobold, which is one of the creatures in our collection. Just to give you a taste of like the artistic breadth that our community reaches into.
We love the kobolds.
All right then. Can you tell us, Elf, what about your profile picture then? What kind of inspiration is this coming from, and also why do you choose this kind of wizards?
Yeah, this is this wizard is actually number one in the collection. He's called Evil Arcanist, Black Goat of the Wood. He is sort of a deconstructionist symbol. What I mean by that is, if you look at the title of our project, it's called Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult. The word cult is important. When people think of cults, they think it generally has a negative connotation. And it has a negative connotation because it conjures images of cultists who follow this like charismatic cult leader, and they do anything he says, often at their own personal detriment. And pretty much every cult ends in disaster. And so you might be thinking, why are you naming yourself a cult and you've got an evil goat as your PFP? Doesn't that sound bad? It's sort of tongue in cheek. Every day we remind our cult to put their rune on the door. We are sort of an anti-cult. When you put your rune on the door, you become your own leader. You put your own mark on the world. You don't let anyone tell you how to speak your truth. And we have seen this across the entire creative ecosystem in our community. I can't tell you how many people have DM'd me and have said something along the lines of, I have never been a creative person in my life, but this community and my Wizard PFP has inspired me to suddenly start creating. We see this constantly. People are, they didn't just summon a wizard, they summoned themselves. These wizards are bringing their true, uh, their own leadership qualities out in them. Okay, so essentially, what's happening is a form of disruption. Um, Often, leaders in tech, in literature, in art, they're seen as disruptors, and often that is labeled as evil. And so that's why I love the goat, because he's sort of like taking that evil stereotype and inverting it and telling you to be your own leader. Don't follow this goat. Follow yourself. Don't be a sheep. Be your own leader. As you're ironically joining our cult.
I absolutely love how like when Elf goes into talking about wizards or his PFP or something, on PFP it's like always very detailed and I could listen for hours on it. And then like I'm over here on the other side, just like I like the idea of kobolds being dumb creatures and represent them. Like and it's just like the polarization is just funny to me, but it's so enjoyable and it's what makes up a great team in my opinion.
I love it.
All right, that was very cool. I didn't expect that your profile picture would have a very deep meaning on that. So yeah, maybe we can move on to the next question. As we're talking about your ecosystem, about the collection, there's this one thing about your media ecosystem. There are studio animation, comic books, and also video games that build it. So how does this ecosystem of Forgotten Runs actually function in practice?
Yeah, it's pretty complex. We often use the phrase "speed running a franchise" to describe what we're doing. Um, and so again, let me compare it to like a legacy franchise. Let's take the whole Tolkien legendarium, for example, Lord of the Rings. Tolkien wrote those books, I believe, in the 20s or 30s. I could be wrong, but he like they were created over the entire course of his life. He devoted decades of his life into writing these books, and there was a slow, steady climb of these books becoming just a worldwide sensation. And this IP is still going today. I mean, Amazon just made an entire TV series based on his IP. We of course know the films that are associated with it. There's video games, there's literature, there's toys. It's an entire media franchise. This took decades to build. And because for the first like half of it, it was just like one man putting his mark on the world. Now, how are we speed running this? We have enlisted an entire community of thousands of people to build this with us. It's not just dependent on one creative authority. It's dependent on an entire community. And when you've got thousands of people building the franchise together, it goes much faster. It spreads much faster. More creative capital is built up. It's speed running. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, while our community is just constantly building, we are leveraging that creative capital in these larger media expressions, like the comic, like the TV show. And I mean, ironically, that's the slowest part of it, because we're still engaging with these legacy media industries, like like just getting this comic book deal. It's taken 6 months just to do the damn contract. We I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but like we had talks with one major comic book publisher that lasted months, and they pulled out at the last second because they thought NFTs were evil. And so that whole side of it is we have to move at their pace, but that's okay because our community is still building very fast. And if I may, like, go on another little tangent, all of us have witnessed just incredible advancements of AI technology over the last few months. It's coming at us at a harrowing pace. And we are still small and nimble enough to leverage this. Now, what's really interesting is there's really like two sides of this AI revolution. There's all the apps that are being built on it. We're all familiar with those. But then the other side is the data that's under all these apps. And oftentimes this data is not it's not transparent. It's not open to the public. I don't think anyone knows what OpenAI is trading their models on, ironically, it being called OpenAI. But what I can tell you is that we are sitting on a massive treasure trove of data. Like I said at the top, our book of lore has over 4,000 entries into it. These are full biographies of every character token in our ecosystem. We have unlimited amounts of artwork that are being created and dispersed across Twitter all day, every day. We are taking all of this data and training our own large lore machine to do what with? I'm not even sure yet, but I know there's something magical there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's where you just set my mind.
It's like that was cool actually. That was pretty much detailed also, and also diving deeper into the collections, knowing that there are also diverse collections on the platform, like what you said. I see that they also have different amounts of popularity for each collection. Then, how do you ensure that each of your projects can be as successful as the others?
I'm sorry, you said they have different amounts of what?
Different amounts of popularity. I mean, like the amount of holders coming from each collections are different, right? So yeah, how do you ensure that each of them has, can be as successful as the others?
Oh, I got you. Like between the wizards and the warriors and the ponies and the souls and the beasts, like how do we
Yeah,
ensure?
that's right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're necessarily trying to keep them all equalized. We lean in on our community to just tell us what they like. I think that's actually very important. Um, let me just draw the legacy media entertainment industry back into this for just a second. So Hollywood every year have an amazing decision to make, which is what do we make our next TV show or film or video game about? And what you often see is you see them taking the easy way out. By that I mean they remake something that's already popular. Um, and it's almost always a failure. You would think they would learn, but they don't. They're terrified of gambling on a new IP, on a new character, on a new world, because they could lose their ass and somebody gets fired. That's why they don't do it. They like to stick to formulas that they know are going to work, and so where this where we can improve on this is, again, we have an entire community of thousands of people creating things every day across all these different collections. The reason I'm not trying to tell them or trying to push the success of one project or another is because we have this sort of Darwinian mechanism that shows us which is the most popular character. The cream rises to the top. And so we don't have to make the decision like Hollywood does, make a gamble on a new thing. Every day we are A/B testing creative ideas and characters and seeing which ones the community reacts to. So, I guess to answer your question is like, I don't think we ever should try to push the success of one character or one collection over another. It's really just seeing like, what does the community like? What do they run with? What do they build on? That alone is a very valuable selection mechanism to sort of sniff out success and the characters that are most compelling.
All right, very cool. I think about how you're lifting the popularity up to the community and also the holders' preferences. Yeah, I think that was great. And yeah, for the next question, this one is tricky yet interesting to be discussed among all collections. Which one is your personal pick? I'm so curious about that.
Ooh, I'm curious about this one too, actually.
Yeah, Jitsi, do you have an answer?
No, maybe. Let me think about it. But I'm really curious about your answer to this one because obviously, like, you've made them all. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll give the boring answer. The Wizards are probably my favorite. I really love the Beasts. I mean, it is hard to
Mhm.
pick because there's different things I like about all of them. I mean, the Warriors actually maybe have the most, I guess, intricate artwork, because I learned a lot about pixel art after doing a whole collection of Wizards, so I got a little bit better at it. But the Wizards, I mean, they're the first, and I align more
Yeah.
with a Wizard archetype than a Warrior archetype over anything. To me, actually, the more interesting question might be like, within the Wizard collection, which are your favorite? Because a lot of NFT collections, they have like the same character with just different cosmetics on it. But our collection, we have a bunch of different heads that are
Right.
very distinct from one another. So anyway, Jitsi, I want to hear your answer. And I don't think I could ever guess what it is.
I think it's definitely gonna be Wizards for me, and I'll tell you why. I still remember I was talking about it in Discord just yesterday, right? Like in the late night, like as I'm feeling bullish on our project, I'll start talking about like everything we're doing. And 2 years ago, when everything started happening, when ETH was running, and I got into the space, like I found the Wizard project, like Forgotten Runes, and I still can't remember a happier moment in my life when I was like searching through art that I just found and like I was like elated from it. Like it was like so fun to me. Like it was nostalgic. It was pixel. It was like everything I wanted within a collection. And I would roam the collection, still do to this day, for hours on end, refreshing until I found like the perfect couple wizards I wanted. Right? Like that feeling can't be replaced by any other collection. Full stop. So I have to say wizards. Like right. Like if I'm speaking of it that highly, like it has to be that. But I appreciate all of the art that was made as well.
But within the Wizards, which is your favorite?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that one's a boring question for me, right? Because that one's obvious. It's like Cobalt's for sure. But I will say this. I definitely very much like the vampire head too. I have a vampire that I think is the best vampire in the collection, and like there's a lot of ones that I don't like use daily that I very much still love, right? Because I only get to like be represented by one.
Yep, yep. And if I could just add on top, I know this wasn't your question at all, but I just want to address like why pixel art at all. Why did we choose pixel art? It was very deliberate. You know, to me, there is just a real magic in low res artwork because you look at a piece of low res artwork, you look at even at abstract artwork, and there's suddenly a lot of room for interpretation, a literal sort of stretch of imagination, a blossoming of creative sort of energy occurs in your brain when you look at low res artwork. You have to fill in all the details yourself. Um, we see the wizards as runes themselves. They are sort of basic pictograms that are meant to be extrapolated into much larger ideas. And so if we had started out with a very detailed piece of artwork, you know, sort of all the creative work is done for you. You think, okay, that's what it's look like. That's what it already looks like. And I don't have to like sort of bring any interpretation to it myself. That's what happens with a really high res piece of artwork. But with low res pixel characters, they're just begging you to use your imagination. And, you know, this is what I loved about 8-bit video games I played when I was a child, like especially 8-bit RPGs like Final Fantasy. I knew they were pixel characters, but in my head, I was imagining these really elaborate, beautiful scenes that were sort of happening on screen behind the pixels. And so we really wanted to just sort of like bring that creative magic to the collection. And that's why we chose pixel art.
Here, here.
Very cool. Yeah, I can see how both of you like wizards, and also it was great to know further about why you choose the pixel art theme for your NFTs, right? Yeah. We can move on to the next question. As we can see that Forgotten Runs was established in 2021, and also it was how you say that 2021 was the year of people doing NFTs, coming to the world of NFTs. It was also during a pandemic situation, right? Can you spill the tips on how you overcome difficulties and also sustain forgotten runs in the market so far?
Yeah, we are in a bear market. Everybody, you know, that's no secret. This has hit the NFT market, the crypto market, really all markets. I mean, it's just the macro cycle. So you know, we're building in the bear. I know that's like almost a cliche at this point, but it's a cliche because it's true. We're building more than ever. We're still the comic book is in full production. The MMORPG is in full production. We just this week finished the entire 3D collection of all of our wizards. So we'll be distributing those soon. Literally, if you own a pixel wizard, you will get a full 3D representation of that character to use in all 3D metas. Um, you know, that's just a few things that we're building. We have tons of other plans coming up. But yeah, I mean, you know, the name of the game right now is just build, which you know hopefully sets you up far better for the next bull cycle.
And I would piggyback off that and say like sustaining over the course of however long it's been now is like I can't stress enough how strong the community is. And I probably joined and got really excited on a couple projects, Forgotten Runes included being number one. It was like my idea was the spots that people go to day in, day out to just talk and have a good time on the internet is like a spot that I want to be, right? So and that proved to happen with this project. And so in the bull or bear market, it doesn't matter. You have people that are like showing up and just like communicating and trying to be friends, make creative stories, whatever it is. Like that's really strong, and that's something that's like almost outside of the control of like the founders or the team that joined, right? Like that's going to happen, and they're going to be able to lift up what we're doing when we're not doing things, even, right? So there's like so much that's being done 24/7. This huge project from team and community, but without that community and that aspect that they bring in the bear market, like who knows where it would be, right? But I don't know. It's just like it's so nice to know that you have people behind you supporting you 24/7.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. So, from day one, we were the kind of project that didn't want to emphasize floor price. We almost never talk about it. In fact, we even have a motto in the cult: lore, not floor. And I think we saw a lot of NFT projects in sort of the NFT bull run in 2021, where they treated their NFTs just like any other fungible crypto token. Everything that mattered to their project could be plotted on a spreadsheet. And to me, that just seemed the antithesis of what an NFT project should be, because the beauty of a non fungible token is that you are in control of its destiny. It's not so with a Bitcoin or a Dogecoin. With a fungible token, your token is fully at the whim of the market cycle. There's nothing you can do to control it on an individual level. You just buy it and you just watch the price charts go up and down. That's it. And that's great. That's what they're supposed to do. But I think you're not leveraging the power of an NFT if you treat an NFT like that. And so that's why we encourage the creativity within our community. That's why we tell people to put your rune on the door, because when you do that, you are taking real ownership of your token, and you are in control of its destiny, not the price charts, not the macro cycles. Doesn't matter if you're in a bull or a bear market, you're in control of the token that you own. And that sense of ownership is magical. That's what the whole point of blockchain is like authenticating digital ownership. And so we really try to underline that daily. And I think like that's one reason that our community is still in relatively good spirits compared to the other NFT projects out there. I think a lot of those communities were treating it like a Dogecoin or a Bitcoin. And when the bear market hit and they watched the price charts go down, they were disheartened. And I say to them, well, then you don't fully feel ownership of your token. You let the market feel ownership of your token. And so, yeah, I mean, that's it. I think, that sentiment has really gotten our community far.
Agreed.
All right then. So we're finally at the end of our Twitter space. So we have one last question. So Forgotten Runs must be having a very busy future plan, right? Can you help us envision the future of Forgotten Runs? And also, are there any specific new projects in the works? Like what upcoming goals or objectives do your holders and community have or will get from your projects?
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm like trying to think about what I should focus on and how to boil it all down. Okay. I'll tell you what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the comic because I don't know any other project that actually has printed issues that are going to be literally published in hard copy. Community created lore in a real media expression to show that this can work is going to be magical. So that's why I love the comic. Number two, I'm very excited about the metaverse. I think a lot of people in the space think that the metaverse is like sort of cliche at this point and is not going to happen. All I can tell you is that everyone I talk to, metaverse is happening. It's being built. It's just that it takes more than a year and a half to build. I mean, like your average video game takes longer than that to build, okay? And
Games are tough.
we're talking about an ecosystem of interoperable assets across thousands of different teams of builders. So just give it some time, but I can promise you it's being built. I'm very excited about this because like I said, we have full 3D game ready assets that are going to be deployed into all of these. I think this represents practically exponential growth for projects who are going to partake in this. It's just an amazing space that is just going to just starting to bubble up. So I'm excited about metaverse, and then the third thing is AI. Again, like this is something that everybody is having to sort of grapple with in the last few months. It certainly wasn't on our radar when we started because it wasn't really a thing. Now it's very much a thing, and we are young and nimble enough to sort of adapt to this impending technology that's bearing down us. And why I think Forgotten Runes is really well positioned to really leverage the advantages of AI is because, like I said earlier, we are sitting on a treasure trove of creative capital. We've got an entire book of lore to train a model with. We've got tons of artwork to train a model with. We're going to be building other tools that will lend to the training of this large lore machine that we're building. And I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. And like, honestly, like literally bring the world to life. I mean that in a literal sense, because as we all know, AI will be sentient probably within 2 years. So you will literally be able to become your wizard at that point. Jitsi, did I miss anything?
No, those are all really good points. Is probably where I'm at too. I mean, for me, it's gaming being huge for me, and like our community stepping into more and more of that. I express myself through games. I lived it. I can't get away from them. I make everything that I do a game in general. So like I'm truly excited for that to like play out when it comes to metaverses, cozy, comfy, competitive games, whatever it is. Like I still don't think we've seen the biggest wave of gamers come to the space, obviously. And like I'm hoping that Wizards will do a good job of like holding their hands and helping them understand what's happening here because we have some really cool opportunities to be able to express really cool things through gameplay.
100%.
All right. I think that it is not only me that is very curious and also excited about what is coming up for Gun Runs in the future. But I think that our listeners and also the community will also be, like excited and very interested to stay tuned towards the update coming from Forgotten Runs. So yeah, I think that we're finally at the end of our session for today. Is there anything that you wanna, like add on, besides all the questions that I've asked so far?
I just want to tell everybody here, even if you're not in our community, I encourage you to put your rune on the door, put your mark on the world, because we are in a moment in history where we can do that in an immutable way. Do this so that you are not forgotten and that AI does not take your humanity from you.
Love that saying. I live by that saying actually at this point. It's such a good one. I just want to say thank you for your time and hosting. This has been great. I always enjoyed talking about the project with Elf. It's been fun.
Wow, I love that one last sentences statements from you guys. Maybe we can move on towards the Q&A session. Does anyone have a question for our speakers today? You can request it. Is there anyone?
I guess not. I guess Jitsi, we explained everything perfectly.
Perfectly.
Yeah, I think
Just the usual.
I think that your explanation is already enough and also very interesting for our listeners. And yeah, maybe we can start counting, going once, going twice. Yeah, I think there are no one that want to ask.
Sold. We'll catch him next time. No biggie.
All right then. All right. Is there anyone? Okay, let's have one last statement.
One last statement. Stay magic.
Stay magic, baby. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right then. Thank you so much, Elf, and also Jitsi. Thank you so much for Gun Runs for the time for coming to our Twitter space today. It's very nice to have you guys on this space. Our listeners can definitely look forward to an exciting moments, exciting projects coming from Forgotten Runs in the future. So just stay tuned on their their website or like their social media that can be that are accessible. So yeah, I think that this is the end of our session. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. You can keep on stay updated with us with Token Minds. Follow our social media, our YouTube, our Instagram, our Twitter, and else. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. Thank you, Elf and
Thank
Jitsi.
you.
Thank you, TokenMinds.
Have a
Thank
good one.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.